It's Opinion Friday, my friends, and I'm here to tell you that e-bikes are not the best tools to make you fit and strong. They're not going to make you a lean and mean fighting machine. And the situation is about to get worse. Being on them, I've been supporting them for the last 8 to 10 years. In fact, I quit my job on MTBR to start E-MTBR because I believe in this format so much. If you haven't been very active, the e-bike will get you out there. You're gonna get a workout. You're gonna get a workout for sure. It's gonna get you healthy. So, it is so good for most people. But if you're an athlete, if you are an XC racer and you are turning to e-bikes, there are some things you need to be aware of. That it's not gonna make you fit and strong. There's 5 things about it that are affecting the situation, and it's about to get worse. Why should you care? E-bikes are the most fun. They're gonna teach you how to descend it. They're gonna get you exploring. So if you're loving it, then no problem, right? But why you should care is you're gonna gain weight. If you don't change your eating habits, you've been riding 5 times a week before on analog, we'll call it analog, and then you switch to e-bike, you're gonna gain weight. You're gonna get that bulge. You're gonna get slower. Believe me, I deal with this every year as I e-bike more and more. That my climbing just sucks. I'm gaining a lot of weight. So I have to control it, and controlling it is the key here, is what we're talking about. All right, the first reason why it's not the best tool for getting fit, getting fast on a mountain bike is because of freedom of choice. Now you have a choice, and choice is kind of the devil's advocate. When everything is about suffering, and that adage, no pain no gain. When you're not required to suffer through that pain, why would you? Very few people can. So the fact that we have a choice to go on Eco Trail Turbo when that hill gets steep means that we're gonna hit that thing and just not engage our muscles as hard. It just doesn't happen. You could do it every once in a while. You can go turn off your motor and go on a 40-mile ride, but you're not gonna do that on a regular basis. So the fact that you have a choice makes it difficult. The other part of it is, the rewards are not quite there. Having a PR or taking the KOM on an uphill on an e-bike is not quite that meaningful. The second reason is looking into the future. It's about to get a whole lot worse. Is there seems to be a power grab right now. Before we were good with 70 newton meters, 75 newton meters, maybe 80 newton meters. And, they were very non-supportive motors on a full-powered e-bike. And then there was a rise of these mid-powered e-bikes, right? But now we're looking at 100 newton meters of torque, 120 newton meters on the DJI motor. And everyone is going over 100 newton meters, about 700 to 800 watts of power. And, you're not buying that thing if you're not going to use it. So basically, as the power grab rises, that means less power coming from your legs. The other part of it is the future is all about auto mode. Auto mode, E-MTB plus, have you heard of these things? Eco plus, Tour plus. All these modes, what they do is they ramp up. As you put in the effort, it will go from like a eco mode to a turbo mode. So that's what they all do. They're kind of like AI. They read what you're putting out and they said, okay, you want more? We'll give you more. And so what that happens is it's a beautiful riding experience because you don't have to switch modes. You don't have to shift gears that much. It just reads you and then it just boosts that power when you need it. But what happens is you are not able to really just push your muscles. You're not able to engage your muscles as much because, are you riding at 30%? When you go to 50%, the motor will match you and then you're back down. You're never going to get to 100% with an auto mode because the motor keeps kind of following you, being ahead of you. It's a great riding experience. You can climb anything and you can save battery this way. And this is the future for sure, but it's going to be more difficult to really engage your muscles and really kind of, put the pain so you can have some gains. Number 3 reason is because the nature of the e-bike rides, the climbs happen faster. So you have a 2,000, 3,000 foot ride. I used to climb it in an hour. Now I climb it in half an hour. So Even if I put the effort in, put my 200 watts in, that means I worked out for half an hour. Half the time I would have worked on an analog bike. And that's going to happen all throughout. So every hill is shorter. Unless you have some massive ups hills, up the hills, it's just difficult to find the hills where you can just really work. E-bikes, they equalize your climbing time and descending time. And because of this formula, now you're working a lot less. It's just the nature of the beast. It's way more fun, way more ROI, way more rewarding, but you're not engaging your muscles and putting yourself in pain as much. The other part of it is a lot of my rides are 5,000 to 6,000 feet of climb, just so I can get my workout. But the descending is a lot of descending, and it beats up your body. So I'm descending 5 to 6,000 feet, but that's really a lot of beating on the body because it's a heavier bike. You're doing more technical terrain, so you're like getting your full fun workout jumps and rocks and whatnot, but you're not spending your energy and saving your body for that climb workout. Number 4 reason is the riding groups and the trails that you do. You're doing less of these cross-country trails. You're doing less of your cross-country buddies, where you're always racing each other. Every hill is a race kind of thing. It's a fun group. You're just chit-chatting up on the all the way up the mountain, and then you just go get rad and have some fun and do some exploring. It's a great experience. Don't get me wrong. It's what I do now, day in, day out, when I have the opportunity. But that element of racing your friends and really putting yourself out there to achieve, that's not what the e-bike's good at. And even though you can do it, you can turn off your motor or you can ride on eco for all day. It's not the ideal tool for the job. And the last reason I'll give you is there is the decline of mid-power. Last year, 5 years ago, I rode a lot of mid-power. Every mid-power bike, I would try it. But the problem with mid-power is the range is not there. I'd rather ride my cross-country bike than ride a mid-power bike. So less and less mid-power motors are being introduced. It's really the advent of full-powered bikes. In fact, mid-power, I think, is just going to be a configuration of full-powered bikes, meaning, you have a DJI motorbike with a little battery, so it's 41 pounds, So because of the decline of mid-power, then it's the decline of, the effort required to get the range and keep up on a mid-power bike. All right, why does it matter? It's because you want to watch your fitness. You're an athlete. You want to watch your health. You're seeing your belly bulge. You're seeing yourself gain weight. Some of us are concerned about the gains and the rewards and the achievement. So if you care about that, then it's something you need to be aware of. If not, you're having fun. You're going with your buddies. It's getting you out of the house instead of sitting on the couch. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Just keep it in the back of your mind if you want to get stronger, if you want to lose some weight, that, hey, it's 5 rides on an e-bike is nothing like 5 rides on an analog bike. All right, what can you do about it? What you can do about it is the easiest thing is to keep your analog bike. Get on your analog bike once a week or once every 5 rides, get on the analog bike. And I call it the machine of truth, the honesty machine, because you think you're fit on an e-bike, but you just can't turn the cranks over because that's where the motor helps you the most. So just get on that thing and go on your boring trails and get that type A type of ride and mix it up, and it's a very cruel checkpoint. If you haven't been on an analog ride, you do 100 e-bike rides, and you will see what I'm talking about. How hard it is. So just keep it up. It's kind of like a haircut. With some frequency, kind of like jumping on the weight scale. And that's my piece. So I'm really most interested in what your experience is. How do you find your fitness? Are you getting strong? And where did you come from? Are you coming from a couch, or are you coming from a racing background? Because that's the harder piece. If you're coming from this level and you switch to 100% e-bike, it's difficult to maintain your peak fitness. And what is your mix? Do you still hang on to your analog bike? Do you mix it up? it's an interesting journey for sure because e-bikes are so fun and everything's opening up and now all your buddies are converting. But this is kind of a piece that a lot of people are not too honest with, and I think we should just put it out there so we know how to address it and deal with it. If we care about this issue. Thanks a ton, everybody.